come in remotely. And a gentleman by the name of Seth Green is going to be our speaker, so we're going to be able to access him. Seth, can you see us or can you hear us?
I cannot see you because you haven't turned on your webcam, but I can hear you.
All right. Well, how about that? So we will be listening in and watching, and so glad everybody's here. And so it's a great way to get speakers that we wouldn't have access to otherwise. I'll introduce Seth here in a little bit. And just so that you know, next month, I had all this in my head. Next month, we're going to be talking about executive interviewing. And our friend and longtime supporter, Dan Ryan, will be speaking next month. And then we're lined up for September and working toward the fall program. So we will be, got some good stuff coming up, and so excited about that. And I think I know everyone here. We will go around the room and introduce ourselves. And again, just wanted to make sure, I think everybody probably signed in on the sheet. We'll be sharing that with Seth as well as with each other. And so thank you all. So for those of you who are aware of my saga, I have moved to Smyrna. I am not moved in, if you know the difference. So we are now proud owners of small home, downsized, glad to be in a much more fun place. Well, not necessarily fun place, but a nice place for us. And we love the house, excited about that. So my certification, my Dale Carnegie program is moving along. So those of you familiar and following that, just so that you know. And I don't travel anywhere for another 2.5 months. Oh my God, what am I going to do for 2.5 months? I guess move in now that I've moved. So proud to be up there. So let's start around the room, go around and introduce ourselves. So Seth has an idea of those of us who are here, and we'll go from there.
Good evening. I'm D. Wayne Basket. I am a CPA inactive, former business consultant. Now I consider myself a real estate consultant. I'm with Keller Williams Realty in Greenhouse office. Hi, everybody. I'm Stan Hines. I'm actually in transition right now from a controller for Form Health Corporation. Previous to that, with community health, CPA, accounting and finance.
Stan, we met before. I feel like you live here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the place. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
My name's Paul Gallagher. I'm a senior strategic project manager with Pinnacle Bank here in Nashville.
Awesome.
But in here,
John Calfee, with my own practice of advising and helping privately owned business owners, which I've been doing for now close to 20 years. Prior to that was CFO for about 15 years at 5 companies, and prior to that was ended up as a partner at Ernst. I have moved 8 times. My wife and I have moved 8 times, so it's and not locally either. So I understand you probably won't be moved in for at least 2 years by the time you get the buy.
Well, look at my garage. Yeah. Look at my garage. Yeah. From a 20-year house, twice the size.
Yes, we did that moving down here. It went from a 4,000 square foot house to 2,000 without a basement, and I realize basements are important factors in the consideration because it's where a lot of stuff went multiple moves.
Well, I have a feeling that some of my stuff that's in my house will be moved out within 2 months. So I've got a room right now with furniture that's for sale. So
okay.
So we're working toward it. All right, back.
George Haitko, I call myself the financial mechanic. What does that mean? I've been like a part-time CFO, kind of like John, for companies for about 23 years now, and enjoy doing that, dealing with small, medium-sized companies that need the advisory help besides just making sure the numbers are right.
All right.
Financial mechanic.
Awesome.
Bob Searcy, former CPA, CFO. Now I help people make good personal financial decisions. Financial advisor, Southwestern Investment.
Awesome. Glad to have you here again.
Rick Saskowski. I am in transition, but looking for a financial leadership position, have about 15 years as CFO and controller and COO. Did a little CEO work, so along those lines, financial planning, PMO work. But just recently, I had to put a plug in for FEI, our sister organization. I know Mark will talk a little more, but I'm the incoming treasurer there. So
You are the treasurer now. So.
oh, I'm technically, there's no incoming, there's no backing out.
No backing out, exactly.
I had about 5 minutes to back out, and once we shook hands, that was it. The deal was done, right? No, it's fun. It's actually get to do a little investment policy, which brought me here many years ago. But always glad to be here. Anything I can do to help any of you guys, let me know.
Great. Just so that you know, as far as FEI is concerned, those of you who have interest or familiarity, our kickoff event will be at Arrington again this year, in the latter part of August. Can't remember the exact date.
27th.
There you go. That sounds right. I noticed that last week. And we've got programs already scheduled, speakers already lined up. We're good to go, and a couple unique opportunities that's going to be happening this year for those of you who are interested in that. So very good. As Rick mentioned, we are an organization with FEI and very much affiliated with that, and FEMG nationally, and FEI internationally do have a relationship, and more of a formal relationship than what we've had in recent years. So that's great. Local chapters like us have that relationship, but from a national perspective, there is now a very natural connection. I haven't seen you all, I don't think, since I went to the FEI event in Canada back in May, and it is a great international organization. If you're interested in knowing more about that, I'm not sure if you're familiar with any of it, but those several of us here are members, and so share more with you about that. So our speaker today, Seth Green, let me kind of pull up some information. If you looked at some of the information on the website, you would know some of this already. Is the co-host of the number 6 rated Sharkpreneur podcast with Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington, 7-time best-selling author, founder of the direct response marketing firm, Market Domination. Has been seen on Forbes, Inc., CBS, NBC, and a number of other things. And so his group contacted me and said, hey, I'm trying to work with and be in front of some of the FANG organizations. He'll actually be sharing this webcast. I think he can confirm this for us. It'll be available after the fact, and he does things of this nature on a regular basis, and we're very honored to have him participate with us today and lead us in a discussion. He works with a lot of organizations around marketing techniques and so forth. So we're going down the route of how do we market ourselves today using LinkedIn and perhaps other things that Seth may invite us to learn about. So Seth, we are so glad to have you here. Sorry you can't see us. We can certainly see your screens, and we look forward to hearing from you this morning. You've got the show now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here at another FANG chapter serving you. Obviously, FANG is near and dear to my heart because I started out in financial services and was a financial executive for 20 years, in addition to leading Market Domination LLC. As you mentioned, I speak somewhere several times a week, whether it's virtually or on a plane. And today the topic you were looking for was some advanced LinkedIn strategies to take your career. So I heard a number of folks say they were in transition and they were looking for a new position. We're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn our way to get a new position, to land that dream role. And for those of you who are in business for yourselves, who are consulting or doing something like that, we're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn to get in front of your ideal clients, skip the gatekeeper, and start those high-level conversations with the right decision makers. So is that what you were looking for? Am I on the right track?
You're on the right track, Seth. Thank you.
Okay, just making sure. Otherwise, we'll switch PowerPoints real fast. Okay. All right, who am I? We talked a little bit. Right, you talked a little bit about that in the bio. I've been written about, interviewed in Inc. and Forbes, NBC, CBS. I've written 7 best-selling books. This is me and my wonderful family at my latest book signing at Barnes & Noble. Book number 7, Market Domination for Podcasting, which is not what we're talking about today, but that is on the shelves at Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, everywhere. So it was a really cool bucket list item for me to sit in a bookstore and sign autographs and sell copies of my book to total complete strangers who I had never met before. As you mentioned, I am the co-host of the Sharkpreneur podcast, which is rated the number 6 podcast to listen to in 2019, with Kevin from Shark Tank. And then I get interviewed lots of places just like this. Most recently was interviewed on the Harmon Brothers from Poop to Gold podcast. They are the kings of viral video with over 1 billion views and $300 million in sales. So that was really fun to get to be interviewed by them. And then we switched to Mike and I interviewed them as soon as my interview was over. I've also been nominated by the Dan Kennedy organization for Marketer of the Year 3 years in a row, which no one else has ever done. So let's dive in and talk about you, because you're not here to talk about me. So we're going to go LinkedIn A to Z. So some of you may know, just bear with me because we will get to the advanced stuff. And if you're brand new to LinkedIn and haven't really used it to get clients, to get your next position, we're going to take you through the whole process and try and cram a whole lot in to the next hour, hour and a half. Again, I can hear you. I can't see you. So if you have a question, please interrupt. Just make sure to tell me to stop talking for a minute and have one person ask the question at a time so I can actually hear you, because it's hard because you don't have a camera on you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is LinkedIn profile optimization. I can't see you guys. So you know what? If you could do a show of hands, and Britt or Mark, if you could tell me like what percentage of the room, how many of you are on LinkedIn?
100%.
100%, everybody. Awesome. Okay. So the first mistake we see, and we get clients and opportunities from LinkedIn literally every single day. So you probably have, some of you, it may run the gamut. You might have 100 connections and you're just on LinkedIn and you don't know what to do with it. And there might be some of you who are LinkedIn super users. There will be something in this session for everybody. So the very first thing you want to think about is, what do potential employers or potential clients see when they hit your LinkedIn profile? So I didn't have a list of people in the room who were going to be there, so I couldn't pick on any of you. So you're safe. This is Michelle Tronconi, who is a CFO, and a portable CFO, which I mentioned, which I think I heard a couple of people say they kind of do similar things. And you'll see Michelle has a selfie shot of herself. And then the background, this header, is the LinkedIn default blue graphic. Again, I can't see you. How much, Britt, you're going to have to count people. How many of you have like the LinkedIn default header?
A couple of us.
Couple of us. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the first thing you're going to do is get rid of that, because it doesn't sell anything. And I'm also going to urge you, if you have a selfie like Michelle's, to get like a professional corporate headshot taken, because you can absolutely tell the difference. Now this is Leslie, who's a CFO consultant. She has a slightly better picture, but her header is just, again, a generic image that LinkedIn provides. And instead of being the blue background, she picked a flower. The flower does not sell anything. It does not move the needle forward. Nobody is going to call you because you have a flower. This is Chris Hoover, who's a CFO specialist. Again, he has a slightly better picture, although he's got a glare on his glasses, which is why when I present or take pictures, I always take my glasses off so there's no glare. And again, he's using the same default LinkedIn blue graphic. So let's take a look at a much better LinkedIn optimized profile. This is my friend Jeremiah Demaray. You will notice in their titles, Michelle just says CFO, CFO consultant, or CFO specialist. How many of you just have your title on the LinkedIn title?
No, we're good.
Okay, so what you may not realize is there are a couple hundred characters to describe your title. So in your the keywords in your title get optimized on LinkedIn for LinkedIn search when people are looking for what you do. So that's why Jeremiah says he's almost got a little commercial. He's got TED speaker, Forbes, #1 bestselling author. He teaches advisors how to book qualified appointments with digital marketing, and he's a keynote speaker. You can fit all of that in just your title. So the first thing I would recommend is make your title a whole lot longer and use the keywords you want to be found for in your title. The other thing you'll notice is Jeremiah's headshot isn't just it's a professional corporate picture, but he's also had his graphic designer, which you could have somebody on Fiverr do for $5, edit his picture and put his media bar, his Inc., CNN, 500, TEDx, 40 under 40 next to his picture. Now, obviously it's a circle, so it gets cut off, but you can see he's got those media mentions right next to his headshot, which immediately increases his credibility and desirability. And then instead of a flower or a blue background, he's got a picture of him speaking on the TEDx stage. Does that make sense?
Lovely.
Okay, awesome. Now, another thing that a lot of people, financial professionals, make this mistake is the about section. So if we see Michelle has nothing, Leslie has a couple sentences, and Christopher has a couple sentences, but you'll notice, and some of us are guilty of this, Christopher has a whole lot of financial jargon. Senior financial executive, proven track record of maximizing shareholder value, making a sound balance sheet, mitigating risks, supporting growth at multi-entity, multi-state entities, strategic planning, corporate accounting, mergers and acquisitions. So he's cramming in as many buzzwords as he possibly can. The problem is that's not how we really read, and those buzzwords aren't really necessarily going to help him get found on LinkedIn. You'll notice Jeremiah, and you'll see mine in a minute as well. Jeremiah leads with #1 Amazon bestselling author and the title of his book, and then he has connect with me. He's instantly got an email address listed so people can contact him directly off of LinkedIn. And then you'll notice he has basically a sales letter written about who he is, what he does, and why people should hire him. So he's got, know how most businesses struggle with flat sales, marketing that doesn't work, and no growth. I solve that using my experience creating Inc. 500 fast growth companies. Then he calls out to his target market. If you're an insurance agent or a financial advisor and you want to massively increase profits, et cetera, use this form to set up a chat. And he's got a bit.ly URL that goes straight, which is unique to LinkedIn. That's the only place this URL exists, so he can track how many appointments he's getting every day from LinkedIn. Then he talks a little bit about recent successes, what he's done. So ultimately, instead of a bullet point resume is his about section, he's got a compelling sales letter designed to call out to his target market and get them to take action to learn more. He also is posting regular articles to LinkedIn. How many of you are posting articles on LinkedIn?
I'll do something every once in a while, but no one else.
Okay, one person who's every once in a while. Okay, I'm going to teach you. Again, I've got nothing to sell you here today, so just so you know, there's no sales pitch at the end. So if you had your credit card out already, you can put it away. So you're going to want to post often to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, again, is the #1 business-to-business professional social network. So that means no pictures of what you had for lunch. It's not where you go put pictures of your kids. It is solely based about what you're doing at work and who you're working with and what you're doing for them to ultimately attract more people to you who can either hire you for your consulting services or hire you for the position that you're looking for. This is mine. I have the graphic that's the media bar next to me. My picture is from when I was on NBC. So it's a news media shot. Mine's got a trackable phone number. So again, when my phone rings, I can see that it's coming from LinkedIn, and that phone number costs me $2 a month to have. And then my headshot is a picture of me on the cover of Success Profiles magazine. So again, it's a professional headshot, but I'm on a magazine cover, which is a real magazine. It's not one of those fake ones, and that my wife got me for my birthday, where I'm on Time for Man of the Year. That's a real magazine. And so it instantly establishes credibility as well. You will also notice my title is long as well. It has Inc., Forbes, Registered Rep, Insurance, Newsnet, 7-time bestselling author. And then the keyword I want to be optimized for this month, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, which is generating referrals for financial advisors. And then if you hit more on my about, you will also get a multi-page sales letter just like Jeremiah had. How many of you are just using the free LinkedIn account versus how many of you are using the paid, like LinkedIn Premium or Sales Navigator?
There's a couple of folks, 2 or 3 folks using the premium versions.
Okay, I'm going to tell you if you are, if in your transition or whatever it is that you're doing, you can swing the couple, whatever it is a month for both Premium and Sales Navigator, I would highly recommend it. I'm going to show you why in just a little bit. I am not an affiliate for LinkedIn. There's no trackable way to measure that, and I don't get paid if you switch, just so you know. One of the things I'm going to tell you is a very cool LinkedIn profile hack. So if you look at my profile, you will see it looks like I have a ton of jobs. In March, I was CEO of Professional Referrals for Financial Advisors. In February, I was CEO of Get Your Beans Back. In November, I was founder of Clone Your Top Clients. In August, I am CEO of Market Domination. In June, I'm Chief Cloning Officer at CloneYourselfSoftware.com. Now, there's a reason why it looks like I have a new job every month. The reason is every time you post a new job, LinkedIn will email every single person in your LinkedIn network and tell them to congratulate you that you got a new job. Now, LinkedIn sends that email, not you. So it's 100% deliverability, no spam. It lands in your email inbox and says, Britt just got a new job, congratulate him. And they click on the button to go look and see what your new job is. So that's the first reason why you should do it. And then once you've got one for every month, the really cool part is every month on your anniversary, LinkedIn will email everyone again. So every June, it emails all 7,000 of my connections and says, congratulate Seth on his 1 year, 2 year, 3 year anniversary at Clone Yourself Software. So when I create it, it emails everybody, which is why I have 12. I've got one for every month. And then every year on the month, it's emailing everyone I'm connected to about it. So literally every single person in my network gets an email from LinkedIn every single month about another position I've had. And the cool part about that is magically I get 40 to 50 leads every single month. Not people just saying congratulations and clicking the congrats button, because that doesn't do me any good. I get 40 to 50 people who will not just hit the congrats button, but send me a personalized message saying, hey, what is Clone Yourself Software? Or how is that going? Or what are you doing about that? Tell me more. And that starts a conversation. And generally, there will be some of those folks who are not good prospects for us. But we will generally close at least 5 to 10 leads, new sales a month from people who got a LinkedIn message about an anniversary of a position and reached out to me. Does that make sense?
Hey, Seth.
Yes.
This is Britt. How do you do this without it starting to crowd your message or just just kind of getting lost?
Okay, so the positions is different than your about page. So your about page shows up first on LinkedIn. So if I make that longer, that's going to take more of the room that they're scrolling through when they get to my profile. It's only after my about and my articles and my activity that they then get to my experience where they would see the listings. So it doesn't, at this point in my profile, you've got to scroll down like 2.5 pages before you start seeing my positions. So obviously I have no way of knowing, because no one's ever emailed me and said, you have too many positions, so now we can't hire you. It's possible that I've missed out, that somebody has seen all of that and thought I couldn't hold a job and was switching every month, but it's never happened. And we get so many positive results every single month, I've never worried about it.
So one thing I'm also noticing, this is Bart, is that you actually have content in your about and in your articles, and many of us don't necessarily have content up there. So the marketing and the sales component occurs there before we get to the, the job history. So it's helpful. What lesson learned for me is to have that enough information at the top that actually does more of the selling of me rather than my job history. So
yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. So that is a huge issue that we help people solve, financial executives solve, because we see a lot of time the about is one sentence, and they think LinkedIn is a place to put their resume, and that's what it's for. So there's nothing up top, and it goes straight into their resume that looks like this, but might only have a couple positions. And the problem is you're not, I think it's 86%. If you're using LinkedIn to find your next career move, 86% of online applications are rejected by an automated tracking screener before HR ever gets to them. So if you're just having your resume on LinkedIn, you're going to not get in the door, as opposed to if there's almost a sales letter written ahead of the positions, because that's where you can really make your case and get them to like you and trust you before they ever get to your experience. You can, and one of the other tricks that I hadn't even gotten to yet is you can put a video in your about section, and people can literally watch it and get to know you virtually before they even read the rest of it. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, because I can't see people nodding or taking notes or anything.
This is great information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question I have, this is John Calfee. It looks like, are these assignments, specific assignments with clients that you treat as a new job, or are they physically just 12 different companies that you somehow juggle your positions with?
Thank you for skipping ahead. Have you seen my presentation before? And you're segueing. So what? So what I would tell you, no, I do not juggle 12 companies. So I'm not that good. I create a new position. If you know how to do that, please teach me, because I have no clue. So I can only juggle 2. So if we would suggest either doing one of 2 things. One, creating a new position for each service that you offer. So this is more for the consulting portable CFO people in the room, because they could say bookkeeping is one, or expense mitigation is another one, or each one of those buzzwords that we had in Chris's about section could be a whole separate position. So we would suggest you either do one job listing per service that you offer, or you could do one job listing, as you mentioned, for each client that you're working with. So we will do I will list me as chief marketing officer of a company that just hired us. And then when people go look at that company, they find me as well. So if you were a portable CFO and we're consulting with 5 different companies, you could do 5 different months, 5 different positions, and then just make sure it all says until the present. So it doesn't we've seen people screw this up, and then it looks like they've only been at each position for 30 days, and then it looks like they can't hold a job. So you've got to do it. You'll see mine says November 18 to present, February to present, March to present. So in next year, there are all those 3 or 4 new positions that I put out this year, I will have all been at for like a year and a half. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very helpful.
Okay. All right.
So actually,
A follow-up
question. So if would you suggest that you don't just do 12 if your goal is 12 once a month, you might take 2 or 3 years to get there rather than 1 year?
Yes, you're not going to I would not overload it. I would not do 1 a month every month for 12 months, because again, people might not go through and see that you're holding 12 positions at the same time. They may just say, oh, I got another notification. John switched again. Why isn't that guy staying very long? So I would do like 1 a quarter. So that's 4 a year over 3 years, and you've got 12.
Yeah, thank you.
That was thank you for the clarifying question.
So this is Rick Saskowski. How would that work for volunteer type of positions? For example, I just became the treasurer of a finance group. It's
I've heard you got roped in.
Yeah. So does that? Yes, I did get roped in, but
that's like my wife in the PTA. It's funny. I wrote. I don't know if any of you guys have little kids and follow the Holderness family that does musical song parodies, but my wife is a mommy blog, one of the top 100 mommy bloggers. So we started doing a couple music videos, and we did one about her being PTA president, and we have a line that says the PTA is like the mafia. She wasn't given a choice. So I understand.
Everybody else steps back, right? So right now I have that in my volunteer section, but does that work the same as, what? I guess my question is, am I hurting myself by having that in a volunteer section instead of putting that in that work history section as far as the emails and notifications?
Okay, so yes and no. Yes, and it depends. Yes, you're hurting yourself in that no one got notified of your volunteer work. LinkedIn doesn't send out emails for that. So if you wanted people to know about it, it needs to be a position, not a volunteer position. You can still say that you're volunteering, but it needs to be in your work experience for LinkedIn to tell people.
Okay.
Now, it depends, because if your volunteer position, if you're not going to use it if you're not going to optimize what you write about it so that people want to talk to you, then putting it as a work position won't do you any good. People will get notified that you're a do-gooder and that you're volunteering, but I would be careful how you word it, and we could certainly talk about that, because if you word it the wrong way, which you might think would be the right way, all of a sudden more people will volunteer you for more things.
Okay.
So
right.
when my wife put out that she was doing, she was on the board at my kid's nursery school, all of a sudden other friends saw that, other people saw that and said, oh, great, I didn't know you were doing board work. Will you be on mine? Will you help at our school? Will you be on the PTA? Now, if you want more board work, then that's great. If you don't, all of a sudden my wife was like, oh my God, I have no more free nights during the week. I'm at all these meetings. And I said, well, you said yes, that's the problem. So I'll give you that disclaimer.
One thing I've done, Seth, this is Mark again, is indicated, I've had a lot of volunteer things, including this one, where I'll actually indicate in my description in the work history that it's a volunteer role. Again, that gets into the double-edged sword, but if I want people to know that I'm the chair of the local chapter of FENG,
yes,
I might want that in my work history because it is part of my work.
Yeah, and right, so, FANG is totally different. It's not like you're on the PTA and then you're going to get roped into volunteering on 7 committees for the bake sale and fundraisers and stuff like that. So FANG, volunteer treasurer for a financial group, which is related to work history, I would absolutely put in work history because it's credibility, and people might say, oh, he's good enough to be treasurer for FANG. Maybe we should hire him for something. Okay. So,
and then as a follow-up, then I guess don't just put that, but as far as what kind of contributions, just like any other kind of job, like
yeah, and you got to write about it. Like you'll notice, and instead of I'm pointing to my own screen that you can't see me point to. I'll move my mouse. Maybe you can see my mouse. Okay, so you'll notice I figured out. So instead of putting the name of the company at Clone Yourself Software, I realized I was wasting an opportunity and put the URL in as the name of the company, because now that means from a search engine optimization standpoint, for those of you who have your own websites, LinkedIn is a PageRank 1 website. So there is now a backlink from LinkedIn to my website, stalkertags.com, for that service. So that means Stalker Tags will now rank higher because Google will see that LinkedIn links to it. So we weren't here to talk about search engine optimization. That's a whole separate 3-day class. But if you have a website and you put it in instead of the name of whatever it is that you're doing, there's now a link from LinkedIn to your website, which will help you rank higher. Okay, and then you'll also notice that if you click on it, you can't click on my screen, but these are not generic work experience. Like, it doesn't say I'm the CEO of stalkertags.com. It's a long blurb, again, with a call to action and a URL about what the company does. The next generation of privacy invasion marketing is here. Promote your business to anyone within 100 meters of a stalker tag. Target your competitors' customers. Lead generation like never before. Watch this free video, stalkertags.com. It's a commercial for the service, not a blurb about how I optimized growth and led a 30-person organization. Because I'm not trying to get hired as CEO of another company. I'm trying to generate sales for our marketing services. Okay, so hopefully that kind of covers that a little bit. Next section would be using LinkedIn for research to find either the people who can hire you or the prospects for your consulting business. So I'm going to go in LinkedIn. Then I'm going into Sales Navigator, and this is one of the #1 reasons why you want Sales Navigator. So if I am recording this, and I think Mark or Britt said, I will email you all the recording of it once it renders, probably tomorrow. But if you go, so you can watch this on your own computers and like follow along on another window and do what I'm doing. So if I go to Sales Navigator, and I go click on Advanced in this search bar, this window comes up. So I can now search by keyword, geography, industry, annual revenue of the company, how fast they're growing, how many people work there, the departments, job opportunities, etc. I'm just going to give an example of a quick search. So I have a client in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I picked Charlotte. I picked the industry of marketing and advertising, because that's the industry I'm in. And I said I wanted the owner of the company. And you will see that LinkedIn has done the research and says there are 1,203 owners of marketing companies in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, I didn't pick how big the company, how many people work there or what their revenue was. I could have narrowed it down. But just to get you an idea, I say hit the search button. And then LinkedIn now gives me, here are the 1,203 owners of marketing firms in Charlotte. And it will give them to me. I can save this list into my Sales Navigator as a separate list. And then I can go through the 1,200 if I really wanted to and remove people. Or the fun part is I can go click a button and then send messages to each of these people. I'm not going to do 1,200 at once because it would take me a long time. But if I did 10 a day, in 3 months, I would have messaged 1,200 people. And at 10 a day, I would guarantee, I would be surprised if you were looking for a new job, if 10 a day, 300 a month, even if you eliminate weekends, that's 200. I would be surprised if you didn't have like at least 40 people get back to you and want to talk. And if you were looking for clients, because we do marketing for some marketing firms that don't do what we do, if we didn't get a decent handful of clients, it would be really surprising to me. Now, whether or not they respond is going to be based on the quality of the message that you send. And that's a whole nother conversation. We're about to go into what are some example messages that actually work. Do we have any questions on research?
No, good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, another strategy I want to teach you before we get into the messaging is the power of LinkedIn groups. So you can ask questions in a group and people will respond. If you start your own group, then you can email all of your members anytime you want for free, which is a reason to have your own group. And we would tell you if you were going to be super ambitious, I would create one group and join 49 others. It takes no time to join a group, and then you can post something in the group and everybody will see it. So let me show you an example. how you find a group is you can do this in regular LinkedIn. You don't need Sales Navigator for this. You just go in the search at the top. And in this case, I typed in financial advisor. I clicked more and I clicked groups. And it will now give me, there are 288 groups on LinkedIn with financial advisor in the title. So I'm going to take the first group, which is the Financial Advisor Magazine group, which has 59,078 members. If I click on that, it will now take me into the group. If I'm not a member, I can ask to join, which costs nothing. And see, they don't even have a header on their group page. So shame on them. They're just using a gray background. They don't have anything up here. So I got to talk to them about that. But you will see they have 59,438 members. And if I click this little magic button over here where it says see all, it will now give me all 59,000 members of the group. And I can now message anybody I want. Now, if I message, 500 people in a day, LinkedIn's going to get mad at me and says you're spamming people. So don't do that. It will sort them by the managers of the group always come first. And then it goes by how you're connected. So for example, Bruce Supernull is a first degree connection of mine. So he'll show up first. And then if I scroll 10 pages in, there'll be third degree connections. I can also search the members and by certain criteria and try and find people that I'm connected to. I can try and find people that I know or people that I know somebody knows. So I can say, I could go click on Jennifer's profile, see who I know who knows Jennifer and ask for a connection and say, hey, Charlie, let's say I know Charlie. Hey, Charlie, I notice you're in the financial advisor group and you know Jennifer, who is the manager of the group. Can you introduce me to her as opposed to me just connecting cold? And if I actually know Charlie, Charlie will say sure and make the connection. And now I have a warm introduction to Jennifer, who is the manager of the group of 59,000 people and could, if she wanted to, put out a message on my behalf to 59,000 people. So my strategy would be I would get to know Jennifer first. We would message back and forth a couple times. And then I might say, hey, I'm doing a webinar on Zoom about how financial advisors can do blankety blank. Do you think your members would have an interest in that? And she might say, oh my God, yes, that'd be great. Give me a link and I'll go send a message to 59,000 people about you. Or she may say, yes, that sounds great, but we charge for that. And you can run an ad and I'll put it in our group and everyone will see it and it'll cost you $500 or whatever it is. So if you were a portable CFO and you went into a group of business and you did portable CFO services for manufacturing companies and you found a group that was a owner of manufacturing companies and there were 5,000 members and you paid $100 to put a message to all of them, and I'll show you how to do it without even needing permission in just a minute. I could send a message to all 59,000 people myself automatically, driving them to attend my webinar and get a whole bunch of new clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's talk, before I show you the sneaky way to send a message to all of them without needing permission, I will give you some of the messages we use to get people's attention that have worked really well. So number one, if you're trying to get the attention of an individual person, comment on their posts, comment on their articles, give them an endorsement for a skill or an area of expertise, but don't just click, I endorse Seth for marketing. That won't get my attention. We say you should write like a paragraph or two about how fabulous I am about marketing. And then your phone will ring because I will say, oh my God, thank you so much. That was really nice of you. Tell me about you. What can I do for you? So if you lead with flattery, it will get you everywhere as long as it's true. Don't make stuff up. Then direct messages. So this is what we call our waterfall campaign. And this gets you referred down the food chain. So if you would start with the CEO or owner of the company and use this to get referred down to whoever you wanted to meet with. So in this case, I would say, hey, John's the CEO. I'm trying to figure out who is in charge of blank, what I want to do, who's in charge of LinkedIn, who's in charge of marketing there at ABC, at Acme Manufacturing? Would you mind putting me towards the right person and the best way I might get in touch with that? John is going to reply back and say, oh, you want to talk to our chief marketing officer, Bob? I'll connect you and Bob on a LinkedIn message. And he starts a LinkedIn message to Bob and says, Bob, you should talk to Seth. Now, what's really interesting is the psychology behind that. Bob doesn't hear that Seth cold messaged John, the CEO, and John is just blowing him off to Bob. What Bob, the guy I want to talk to, hears is his CEO is telling him to talk to me. So he says, sure thing, Seth. What do you want to talk about? Here's my calendar. Let's get together. And I now have an implied warm introduction from the CEO of the company, and the CMO will take my call, talk to me, and take it seriously and won't view me as a direct salesperson. Because it's a backdoor way to get John to tell Bob about me. And now Bob thinks John knows me. Bob thinks he's supposed to talk to me. He doesn't realize John is blowing me off and putting me over to him to deal with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Seth, let me ask you a question about that, because I see a double-edged sword with that. I've had that same strategy work where I've been able to, people will call me and say, so-and-so referred me. Eventually, I learned that it was a cold call to someone else, and that I was name dropped. I guess that's possible downfall. Any tricks to how to overcome that if that were to happen?
Absolutely. So in my case, when I talk to Bob, I'm going to tell him, Bob, I reached out to John to talk to him about X, Y, and Z, and he suggested you were the person to talk to. So now he knows I reached out to John, so he can interpret that however he wants. He can interpret that as I cold messaged him, or he can interpret that as I somehow know John, or John somehow knows me, but obviously I have no control over how he chooses to interpret that. And I'm hoping he interprets it as a warm introduction. And even if he does figure it out, even if he does say, so you don't actually, 9 times out of 10, I just get a sure, what do you want to talk about? 1 out of 10, I will get the pushback of, does John know you? Does he know what you want to talk about? Has he approved this? And in which case I will just say, no, he suggested I talk to you. And then it may fizzle out at that point, or he may go back and say, John, do you know this guy? John may say no, and Bob may blow me off, or Bob may be more resistant than he normally would than if John said, yes, I do know him. But again, that's like 10% of the time. 9 times out of 10, it works.
The bottom line is the connectivity that I have with that person that I ultimately want to talk to. If it's a positive experience, there's not going to be a pushback.
Right, and what we've noticed is the percentage, our closing percentage, the number of times we sell Bob and get into that company and get hired is dramatically higher. I think literally by over 30%. Then it's somewhere like 28, 29. I forget the exact number, but I round up to 30. It's at least 30% higher than if I went to Bob directly and said, hey, Bob, CMO, I want to talk to you about why you should have a podcast for your company. I get rejected a lot more than if John says, hey, Bob, meet Seth, talk to him about a podcast. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Next one is our goodwill campaign, which we will sometimes lead with first. So this is, we do 3 value steps before we ask for an introduction or a meeting. So for example, we would say, hey, I saw this article for doing research for my other manufacturing companies and thought of you. It's around expense mitigation, thought it had some insights. Here's a link. Hope business is going well. Love to get your thoughts, feedback on this article after you've had a chance to read it. And I would do 3 of those, like 1 a week for 3 weeks. 1 could be an article, 1 could be a white paper, 1 could be a video. And these aren't necessarily, you don't have to create the content. This is stuff that you found online. So theoretically, if you were a portable CFO for manufacturing companies, I would go find 3 pieces of content, maybe a blog post, a white paper, something, and then send all my CEOs of manufacturing companies that were on my list that I made in the research section. I would go send them all 3 pieces of content over 3 weeks. And then week 4, I would then say, hey, I sent you 3 pieces of content. Love to get on the phone with you or a Zoom meeting, hear your feedback, and tell you a little bit more about how we've been able to help other manufacturing companies reduce their expenses an average of 27% or whatever it is. And that's the next one, which is what we call a neuro trigger, which is the 4th message based on your track record. So you could either lead with this cold, or this could be the 4th message after 3 value drops, which is, hey, what would it mean to your top line revenue if you saw a 70% increase in contact rates, 50% improvement in closes, and 40% in quota hitting sales reps? Again, you're going to change all those numbers and make them about what you do, not about what we do. Let's find a few minutes to talk about how market domination is providing these results to our clients. Hey, I'm available Tuesday, Thursday at 9 and 11. Can we sync up? Notice it says, can we sync up? That's important. It doesn't say, do you want to schedule an appointment? It says, can we sync up? Or it says, what does your calendar look like? It doesn't say, I want to set up a sales call. So this is lower key. It's coming across more professional because you did 3 value drops before this. They now see you as kind of a thought leader. You're adding value. You're such a nice man or woman who's trying to help them. You haven't tried to sell them anything yet. And you're just saying, hey, we've done X, Y, and Z. Is this something of interest to you? And if you word it right and it's attractive to them because you know your target market, they're going to say yes. Does that make sense? I'm going to keep asking this question after every slide because I can't see you.
Yeah, I like that phrase.
Okay. This is a more generic to grow your LinkedIn network if you've got a smaller number of connections. This is instead of one of the biggest mistakes we see people, financial executives make on LinkedIn is they just use the generic LinkedIn Connect that just says, I'd like to add you to provide my professional network. You should always send a note and you should always customize it for that person. You will notice not only will the rate of how many people connect with you go up dramatically, but then the response to the next message is a lot higher than if you just did a generic, I'd like to connect with you in the beginning because it's a better relationship. So in this one, it's, hey, thanks for connecting. I've made it a goal to expand my network and look for ways to put my business colleagues together. So you're offering to connect them to other people in your network. You're not asking for anything about yourself. I checked out your profile. I thought we might have some synergies for referrals. Hey, do you have a few minutes to grab a cup of coffee? Again, that's if you're local. Or, hey, do you have a few minutes for a virtual meeting? Here's a link to my calendar. They go online and they book 15 minutes and you introduce yourself and talk. So in this case, in that meeting, I'm not talking about me. I'm asking them, hey, tell me a little bit about you. I looked at your profile. This looks really interesting. Tell me more about what you do. Hey, who are you looking to be connected to? Who are you looking to be referred to? What type of people would move the needle for your business if I could introduce you? And then you actually do the work and you go through your network and you find some people and you make some introductions without asking for anything first. Because if I send Mark like 3 referrals of people who should join FANG in your area, or if I send John 3 companies that would be a good fit for Portable CFO that I know and I can walk him in the door, what does John think? Oh my God, Seth is the best. He loves me. And the next thing out of John's mouth is thank you, thank you, thank you. What can I do for you? And then I say, hey, this is who I'm looking to be connected to. And magically, I have built up a bunch of reciprocity. And John subconsciously owes me, but he doesn't think of it that way. He's just like, wow, Seth is my new best friend. He's sent me these 3 people. That's really awesome. Who can I send his way? So this is like after the connection message, after they accept your connection, this is the message I would send next. Because again, it's not trying to get in the door. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm adding more value. I want to over deliver so much that they're not, again, when they get a connection request on LinkedIn, they're not expecting anything. You guys all get 5, 10, however many connection requests a day. And most of those people, you accept it and then nobody does anything. LinkedIn is like the biggest unmonetized social network because people just connect with a bunch of people and then don't do anything. If you will stand head and shoulders above everybody else, if you're doing value drops first, if you're doing, you're offering to connect them to your network first, they will be so blown away because nobody does this, that your door will be wide open and they will either want to talk to you about what you do or want to send you connections.
Seth, one observation in my own experience recently is kind of related to what you're saying. And I have a feeling a lot of these people have actually have heard you talk about this before because they're doing exactly what you're saying. I would say probably in the last 6 months, if not longer, I've received 1 to 2 requests for connection on LinkedIn. I'm an open networker, so I connect with just about everybody that wants to. They ultimately are lead generators through LinkedIn or some other tool. And I'm not looking for clients necessarily, but I'll still connect. But they're doing exactly what Seth is talking about. They'll follow up and say, hey, glad to connect. This is what I do. And I basically give them a response. I'm retired. I'm not looking for accounting clients. I'm not this or whatever the case may be. And I just give them that respect. But at least I've got that connection now. But they're doing exactly what Seth is talking about.
Right, and you're in a unique situation in that if you're retired and you're blowing them off for, a call or something because you're retired, you're not rejecting them personally. You're just not looking for anything, and that is rare. I don't even know what the data is, but I doubt there's a large. I mean, I would say the majority of people on LinkedIn are not retired. They're there because they're looking for things.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm busy in a lot of ways, so I'm not looking for leads to generate accounting clients. So That's basically what they think I'm going to be interested in. So I kindly and friendly respond, and they feel like they've at least made the connection. So
yes. Okay. This is an advanced strategy we call reverse prospecting. This is if you want to get in front of like one specific decision maker, let's say the CEO of the company, and this works at big companies. If there's 10 people who work there, it won't work. You need 50 or like 100 employees, but you can run a LinkedIn ad in front of all of the employees at ABC company, and say in the ad, send this ad to Bob Smith, who's the CEO. And then the ad will show up in all of their news feeds. And all of a sudden, every employee is seeing this, and some of them will tag Bob or send a screenshot to Bob, or you can click a share button and they'll share the ad to Bob. And all of a sudden, Bob may have 10, 20 people in his company all sending him this, hey, this guy's really trying to get in touch with you. And it's an ad that goes to a separate page on your website that's the Bob Smith webpage, where it's got like a video of you saying, hey, Bob, I've been trying to get to you. Hopefully some of your team members or your employees sent you this message, and here's what I want to tell you. And it blows them away. And the first question I always get is, how did you do that? And then the next question is, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. That was really cool. Yes, I'm happy to talk to you. And if you run an ad, a paid ad on LinkedIn in front of all the employees of a company trying to get to the CEO, for example, LinkedIn lets you bid like cost per click or CPM, which is cost per 1,000. And if there aren't 1,000 people at the company, your cost per 1,000 is going to be dirt cheap. I mean, we've literally gotten Fortune 500 CEOs to respond for like $20 in ad spend. Again, past performance, no guarantee of future success, insert standard legal disclaimers here. But for 10, 15 minutes of work to shoot a video on my phone, put it on YouTube, paste the YouTube code to a page on my website with a little form going, okay, Bob says yes. If Bob says yes, Bob, click the button to get on my calendar, and then run one ad. The ROI on those is like infinite because, again, we've been able to get in at much larger companies. And normally we wouldn't be able to get to the CEO. I certainly couldn't cold call and get through 7 gatekeepers to get to him. But if he's got 20, 30 people in his organization all forwarding him the same ad, he'll look at it. It's a little sneaky, but it works.
And that sounds like a good way to go after your big leads. It's not everyone down the list, but
no, you're not going to get, Bob and John's printing company that has 8 people on Main Street in your town. It won't work. LinkedIn won't let you run it because if it's cost per 1,000, I mean, you can do it. We generally see, once you've got like 50 to 100 employees, it'll work. So it'll get you in at much bigger companies. This is an example of a message where we were trying to get people to watch a webinar So this is, again, a direct message. According to Forrester, again, we included a stat, 70% of mid-level businesses are overpaying for whatever. Thought you might like hear some best practices on how to avoid this for Acme Insurance. We're holding a 30-minute executive briefing. Notice I did not call it a webinar. I called it an executive briefing, which totally changes the dynamic and gets a much higher response rate. People will respond to that way more and view it as a greater source of authority than if you say it's a webinar. Again, it's how to blank for blank. Here's what we're going to cover. Here's the link to attend. We'll be adding some time at the end to address any questions. Oops, I've got a typo. Hope you can make it. John, feel free to share this with someone else in your company that you think you could benefit from these insights. And now John's going to invite a couple other people at his company to attend. And now I got other people to show up for free. Now I want to teach you one other strategy, which was that sneaky strategy on how you could email all the members of a group without being the administrator of a group. That's called LinkedIn Sponsored InMail, where LinkedIn will send an email on your behalf to any target group, company, demographic that you want in LinkedIn. And nobody's doing this yet. LinkedIn came out with this like in the last year. They have not marketed it very well because I do at least one presentation a month on this and no one knows you can do it. And because no one knows you can do it, again, this is it sending a cold email, but it's coming from LinkedIn. So it's 100% deliverable. It never lands in spam. But because nobody's doing it, you'll see I've got open rates of like 30%, which for cold email is absolutely insane. Normally, if you send a cold email, which in a normal world would be known as spam, your open rate might be like 1%. But I'm sending this email to people I don't know, but because it's coming from LinkedIn, I'm getting a 30-something plus open rate, and I paid $500 to send about 380 emails. So you pay per email sent. So I paid like 80 cents per email that was sent out. So make sure, I'm going to show you how to set your budget, because if you're in a group of 50,000 people, you don't want to pay $50,000. I taught this at a live seminar once, and I had someone come up and go, oh my God, I wish I had known to set my budget. I ran up a $25,000 Amex bill in a week without realizing it. And I said, I bet you that was an unpleasant conversation with your wife. So yeah. I will show you how to set a budget. So if you want to spend $100, it stops at 100. It doesn't keep going and send to all 50,000 group members. So again, you can do this with a regular LinkedIn account. You don't need a fancy one. You go into LinkedIn and you click on that work button on the top left, top right, and then you're going to click advertise. I go to advertise. It will take me here. I will say manage ads. If you don't have an ad account already, you'll have to create one, which takes 5 minutes. You just fill out a form and punch in a credit card that you're going to use to pay for it. All right, you're just looking at then you're going to create a new campaign. And in this case, you want sponsored InMail. I want to send targeted messages directly to the people who matter most. That's what you want to do. Don't do the other two. The sender would be you. And then this is the message that you create. You create an email. You can insert custom fields where you can put their name, you can personalize it, and every email will be personalized. You can use their company name. You can fill in all their data so it looks like an email you sent directly to that person. You can drive them. It will ask you what web page you want to drive them to. That could be your calendar. It could be a landing page where they register for an executive briefing or whatever it is that you want them to do. You can add graphics into the email if you want. You can do what's called split testing, which I'll show you, where you run multiple emails to the same group and it rotates who sees what and tells you which one works better. And I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. And then you get to pick your audience. So you're going to start most likely either in the United States, you're going to go countrywide, or if you wanted a specific state or a specific city, you can narrow it down just like I did Charlotte earlier. And then I can pick a specific company. I can pick an industry. I can pick a company size. I can pick a job title. I want VPs of HR. I can pick where they went to college if I want to target alumni of my school. I can pick what they studied, what their skills are, gender, age, years of experience. And then I can pick all of these and narrow it down further and further so I get a really tightly defined target market. And then if I want, I can say I want to go into a specific group, and I can pick any group I want. And I don't have to be the admin of the group.
Seth, just a quick clarifying question. This sponsored email is available to non-premium users. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Yes.
Did I hear
as long
correctly?
as you create an advertising account, which is free to create because you'll spend money on ads, anybody can do it.
And is there a minimum spend on that?
Minimum budget is $10 a day.
Okay.
And you can specify you want the campaign to run for 5 days, so you're only going to spend $50. So this is the important screen for capping how much you spend. How much are you willing to spend a day? What is your cost? What are you willing to spend per email sent? In this case, I said 54 cents because the minimum bid was 50, and I went 4 cents over because I want to make sure that they pick my email before someone else who said 50 cents. Because they'll make more money with me at 54 cents. But I wouldn't go too much above the minimum because you don't want to spend too much money. And then I can say I want it to start now, or I can schedule when does it start and stop, or what is my total budget, in which case if I say I want to spend $100 at $10 a day, 10 days from now it will stop sending. So that's how you make sure you don't accidentally run up a really big bill. And then I hit launch, and I'll show you, this is an example of a split test I'm doing for a accountant who has an accounting firm that works with people who make business owners who make $500,000 a year or more. And he's figured out a way to cut their taxes in half and qualify them for financial aid. The first email we tried that was cut your taxes by 47%, nobody believed him. Even though he has like 15 years of experience proven doing it, no one believed it. So we cut it and we changed it to, so this one is reduce your taxes up to 27%. So you'll see we did 3 different subject lines. Reduce your taxes up to 27. And then we did financial aid loopholes no matter how much money you make. And then this is what if you could cut your taxes by 1/3 and qualify for financial aid even if you make $10 million a year. So you'll see, for example, the financial aid loopholes no matter how much money you make got an open rate of 45%. The reduce your taxes got 36%. So we know more people cared about financial aid loopholes, so we stopped running these 2, and we're only running this one now, and we created 2 more subject lines about financial aid because that was the most popular topic. So we're always trying to make incremental changes, 1 variable at a time, to see which one works better, to keep lowering our cost to get a send, lowering our cost to get a lead, and most importantly, increasing our response rate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome.
One question about that particular methodology. For a job seeker, not necessarily the consulting, I'm trying to envision the applicability if you're a job seeker. You could still target companies, and you've got to meet the minimum as far as using the tool. But we could potentially put a sales pitch for companies. I'm trying to find a job as a CFO. We could potentially do this for that purpose as well.
Yep. That's the beauty of it. So you could, if the CEO is a person you need to talk to, you could say, I want CEOs of manufacturing companies that do at least $10 million a year that are in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it will give you, this is how many CEOs of manufacturing companies at $5 million a year are in Charlotte or wherever you want it to be. And you could send an email, you could send the in-mail directly to just the CEOs. And again, 100% deliverable because it's coming from LinkedIn. It's coming through LinkedIn, so it gets a really high open rate, as you saw, and you're in front of him in a way that you never otherwise could get. And instead of you're targeting, you could be hitting 10, 20, 50, 100. I mean, heck, if you did it nationwide, you could be in front of 500 large manufacturing company CEOs in one shot for maybe let's see, if it was $1 a send, you pay $500 and all of a sudden 500 CEOs get an email from you. I guarantee you're getting some phone calls, you're getting some responses, and that $500 may be the best $500 you ever spend, because you may get 10 job offers. How many, God knows how many job offers you get out of that.
And I see the, even for the entrepreneur CFO, I also see lots of ways to do that. I mean, I hear everybody's elevator pitch, I help companies save money, or I help people help businesses find opportunities. So as we as entrepreneurs can put sales type commentary in these same messages. So
yeah, we have a client who's in the cost segregation and expense mitigation business, and we did one of these that went to we did two. One that was a waterfall strategy. We went to the CEOs and we said, look, save $280,000 back with these little known, expense reduction techniques that your CFO and bookkeeper and accountants don't know about. And that got us a whole bunch of introductions to CFOs to talk about it for our client. And then we did one to the CFOs going, hey, how'd you like to add an extra 280 grand? Because that's the average case size to your company's bottom line and be a hero to your boss. Let's talk and show this to your CEO and he'll love you for it and you can take all the credit.
one other kind of devil's advocate question. Frequently, I find that the top executives in companies are not even using LinkedIn. They've got someone else doing it for them, if at all. Any other suggestions around how to overcome that particular path? If the path is not open, then it's not open. But we're talking about CEOs frequently, which is definitely the target, but a lot of top executives aren't even using the application.
So if they're not using, so if they have an admin or an assistant who's doing it for them, then hopefully that admin takes that message actually to the person, the CEO, and says, hey, maybe we should actually respond to this. So that's the desired outcome. If there are CEOs who have a LinkedIn profile, but they don't have an admin doing it and they never check it. In that case, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
In that case, you might be better with like a direct email outreach strategy. And one of the things about Sales Navigator is if they put their contact information into Sales Navigator, into their LinkedIn profile, it's not displayed publicly, but it's in their account. In Sales Navigator, you can export out phone numbers and email addresses. And I would just then send them, I would use Sales Navigator to get the list of their email addresses and then send it directly to their email, which if they don't respond to the LinkedIn, then I would send it direct to their email, because even if they're not checking LinkedIn every day, they're checking their email.
Right. Okay. That's one of the things I like about what we've talked about today is there's two main things. One, using this, I never really realized that you could do this sponsored email. I just not been around enough to do it, and I've never had a need for it per se. But
it's LinkedIn hasn't marketed it. Again, I speak at marketing conferences all the time. Everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that. That's a gold mine. So it's not you.
Okay. The other thing is the first part of your comments, there's a lot of enhancements that I suspect all of us see on enhancing our content. I mean, I made several notes, and I've been a LinkedIn user for a dozen years, so I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on what I should do, not that I'm doing it. But there's a lot of good content adjustments that we all could probably benefit so far. Yes, John?
Don't know whether you want to or not. Should we get copies of the slides?
Yes. So they're going to get me everybody's contact information.
Thank you.
I will email you both the slide deck so you can literally copy and paste. And I will get you a recording of this so you can watch it as many times as you want. And then if you want to set up a time directly to talk to us, if you go to marketdominationllc.com, this is what you will see is the above the fold part of our website. You don't have to go buy a copy of my daughter's children's book. You can ignore that part. I threw that on there to get her some more sales. because she was on NBC News and they didn't give out her website. They gave out mine by mistake. So I had to throw this on here, which if you click the button, it'll take you to my daughter's, she's 10. It'll take you to her website. So ignore that part, unless you have little kids. So what you'll do is you'll go fill this form out and then say, I'd like to learn how market domination can handle my needs. And if you click schedule a consult, it will automatically take you to my calendar. You can book a time to get on my calendar and we can just brainstorm about how you can implement this stuff. Or if you want some help, if you want some of this done for you, if you want some hand holding through the process, I'm happy to talk about how either of those might work.
Well, I love your shameless advertising for your 10-year-old daughter. I think we all can take note from that. So love it. Love it.
Well, listen, they screwed up and mentioned the wrong website. And I said, they're all going to go to our website and her book isn't there and no one's going to be able to buy it. So I said, I went to my chief graphic design officer and said, can we put a banner up at the top for Ella? And she goes, you know, that detracts from your business message. I said, I don't care. I'm hooking up my daughter.
Well, I admire you for that. I love the concept. So.
That is my
questions. What questions anyone have here?
Do you have any other questions? Otherwise, like I said, as soon as I get the video rendered and I get the email list, I'll send this out to all of you. And then, like I said, if you want to talk, go to the website and grab a time.
Any questions, anyone? No?
Just one quick question. Hey, Seth, this is Stan. Just a quick question. On the LinkedIn, if you're going to put your position down, you're in transition, what would you recommend you put as that position? Because I kind of like the way you were listing out all those different job positions, but you know, I'm just kind of playing on my phone trying to set mine because I obviously don't work for that company anymore, so I need to change that. But you know, do you just put self-employed? What would you recommend?
I would list yourself as a consultant, and then the type of consultant you are would be whatever job you're looking for, and then I'd write a blurb about that so that then it's going to go notify your entire network that you're consulting about that. And depending on the size of your network, that alone may generate phone calls of people who want to hire you.
Thank you.
I mean, if you have 20 connections, it's not going to work as well as if you have like 7,000, but it takes time to get there.
Any other questions, anyone? Seth, thank you so much. Great content for us today. I appreciate your willingness to work with us on this type of format. This was a great experience for us at the local level. Britt and his firm obviously able to help us make this work. So it's encouraging for us to be able to use this type of AV access in the future. So thank you for being here. Anything on that?
Mark, one thing. If Seth has any comments, thoughts to improve this presentation from his standpoint as a presenter, I'm sure you would love to hear that.
Yeah, hey, one thing, Seth, this is Britt, one thing that we realized, and that, you know, honestly, I tried to catch this and we just missed it, is if we'd been in our other room, we would have had the video so you'd been able to see it.
Yeah,
that was my only comment was if you could have a high quality webcam on a stand. So
and we actually have video in the wall, video cameras in the wall. Between me talking to my IT group, I just don't think they fully understood what we were trying to do, so we missed it together. But that's something we can fix for the next time. I'm sorry that you had to kind of be the guinea pig here and maybe lesson learned for me. It was still good.
It appeared to work out, even though I couldn't see you. And if you get that fixed, and obviously, I speak a couple times a week on different marketing and business to business related topics. So if you want, I'd be happy to come back another time when I can see you guys as well.
Well, we'll take you up on that. This content's been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Good. I am glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad it benefited you. I hope you implement it and use it to get more clients or find your next position. And if you want to talk to us about how you can do that, or if you want to talk to us about how we can help you, obviously we're happy to.
Hey, and by the way, I may check out your little girl's book. So good work there.
Since you opened up the door, here you go. This is her book, Fastest Raindrop. It is a board book. So again, this is for little kids. It is her story of the fastest raindrop and her inspiring adventures through life.
Well, that's fun. That's fun. Well, Seth, thank you again, and thank you to Gary for coordinating this on your end, and I appreciate the content was fabulous, and we get LinkedIn presentations periodically, but you drill down to a few key points that we don't talk about as often. So thank you for that and the relevance to this group.
You're welcome. Happy to help. And like I said, get me the email list and I'll get the PowerPoint and the video over. They're both going to be, the video I will put on YouTube so I can email you a link as opposed to sending you like an hour-and-a-half file, which would be way too big to send. The PowerPoint will be you know what, I'll probably put it on Dropbox again because it would be a large file as well. So if you get me the email address, I'll go put them both on YouTube and Dropbox and send them over.
Those email addresses will be coming to you this afternoon or tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Seth.
everybody.